So I've made a lot of money with my first business, Wake Up Water, and I want to show you the exact route that I took from starting and scaling the business to where it is today. I think it's important to level set first of all. I think, when you hear the term $1 million, millionaire, it just gets thrown around so nonchalantly nowadays that it almost doesn't even seem like a lot of money. Like, let's level set to start. $1 million is a ton of money, and it's really hard to get. There are a lot of people out there right now trying to become gurus, online coaches, influencers, and they want to make it seem easy. They want to make it seem like you can invest in some cryptocurrency and become a millionaire overnight, or start an online course and become a millionaire overnight. This whole concept of becoming a millionaire overnight and the pursuit of getting that money that quickly is the quickest way to ensure that you won't get the money. Gary Vee actually talks about it a lot, and how long it actually takes to build something special and legitimate. Now, sure, there are situations that people get very lucky and invest in something and make a lot of money very quickly, but that's not the norm. And to think that you're going to be any different than the people who have built amazing businesses, and to think that you're going to get that money overnight is going to be the quickest way to ensure that you don't get the money. So it's important. Let's level set. Let's realize that $1 million is a ton of money for anybody, and go from there. So going into it, it's going to be hard. It's going to take time, patience, a ton of, long nights, early mornings, and a work ethic, like a work ethic and a focus. So, having that as the backstory, I want to go into Wake Up Water. This is my first business, and this isn't to say that everybody wants to go out and start a beverage company, because a lot of people don't want to do that, and I actually wouldn't really recommend it. It's a really difficult business, and I think the model we've built here with Wake Up Water is a bit different than beverage. Beverage, a traditional drink company, has pretty low margins. It's very expensive to produce. It's very expensive to ship to different places in the country. It's very difficult. We have built a product and created a product that has much stronger margins than a beverage, so it's been a little bit easier to scale. I also own a alcohol brand called Selly Hard Seltzer, so I have a little bit of purview into what it takes to actually build a ready-to-drink product, like whether that be in a bottle or a can or what have you. So I'm going to give you a little bit of a breakdown with Wake Up Water and what it took to get to be a business that does well over $1 million a year. And you can take bits and pieces of it and apply it to anything. So whether you want to start a product or a service-based business, there's a lot of similarities in there. There's a lot of things that you can take and apply to whatever you want to do. So it's not just starting a drink mix brand. Like, there's so many things that you can take from, both the good and the bad from what I've done and apply it to yourself, and hopefully avoid a lot of those mistakes that I made that cost me a lot of time, a lot of money, and then take some of the things that I've done okay or done well at and apply it to whatever you want to do. So the first thing obviously is going to be, like, you have to come up with a product or service that you want to sell. I would say, just about every industry is on the table. Like, you can really create $1 million business. Heck, you can create a $10 million business in basically any industry. Like, the market size of any industry is way bigger than you think. You could have a landscaping business that does $10 million. You could have a roofing business that does $10 million. You could have an online course that does $10 million, a beverage company, a clothing brand. Like, there's no shortage of business ideas and opportunities. It's going to be your job to kind of decipher what is an opportunity and what's an opportunity that I actually would really want to do. Like, what's something that I would really be passionate about getting behind and working really hard at, because it's going to be very hard and it's going to take a lot of your time. So why not pick something that you really enjoy? For me, that happened to be beverage. I just really love beverages. I love drinks. I love trying new flavors, new products, seeing what's in it. Are they functional brands? Are they more, for taste and enjoyment? So first thing, come up with that product, or service. Ideally, it's something that you have some level of passion for, that you think you could, spend a lot of time working at. And it's even better if you think that you have some skill that you can apply to it. So if you're like a great content creator, social media influencer, maybe find something that, you can sell online, and maybe find something that your existing customer base or followers would enjoy. But besides that, like, just figure out what you're good at, what you enjoy doing, and pick a product or service that you want to sell. The next thing is actually going ahead and creating that product or service. So with a service, it's probably a bit more behind the scenes, hands off, in the sense of creating, digital assets or materials. But once you have those created, you're good to go. With a product, there's a little bit more that goes into it. You have to figure out, somebody that can actually help you make the product. So finding a beverage development company or a food manufacturer, beverage manufacturer that can help you take your concept and bring it to life. So for Wake Up Water, I had this idea of creating a better for you energy drink brand. And so I wanted to basically have natural caffeine, some electrolytes, B vitamins, and I wanted it to taste really clean and tasty and refreshing. I also didn't want to use any sugar, and I did not want to use any artificial ingredients. And so I had this baseline guideline to provide a beverage formulator to say, hey, look, guys, here's my concept. Can we go ahead and start piecing this together, putting it together? And I want to start testing out flavors. So, they sent us a lemon flavor, which is what you see here today. We have a orange, a mango, a citrus, a coconut. But at first, we were trying out all sorts of different flavors. So that's likely what's going to happen is whether you have a food product, beverage product, you're going to basically trial and error and see what tastes great. And, the same can be applied for if you have a service, you have a digital course, like you're going to want to see what angle you want to take with things. So it's trying to figure out what your value proposition is, what goal are you trying to achieve, what value are you providing your potential customers? Why should they buy your product or service? What are you providing to them? If you're selling a course on, building out your social media and increasing your follower count and getting more engagement on your videos, well, you have to position yourself with an angle of like, look, I've done this before, or I've helped people do it before, or, at the very least, like, here's a really sound model that I've studied other people using that you can go ahead and apply. So you really have to provide that value first. And then once you have that product or service, now it's going to be, how do you develop the infrastructure of the business, and then how do you market and sell it? So you come up with it, you have a great, concept, you bring it to life, you actually build out that product, you build out that service, the digital course, whatever you're looking to do. And then the next thing is going to be, how do you market it and sell it to people? And this, I think, is way more important than the actual idea itself. I think, like I said before, I think there's countless business ideas that you can start that can get you to 10 million a year, like very easily. There's countless businesses that you can then go ahead and sell for 50 million, 100 million. Like there's no shortage of that. So the important thing is going to be how you bring that to market. How do you market it? How do you advertise, sell to people? And that's kind of the tricky part. And that's where a lot of people kind of lose it a bit. What I found to be very successful, and what I think should be your kind of go-to-market strategy, your, method to building, your customer base and growing the business, is having a just crazy focus on one channel, maybe two channels that you can do really well. If it's a product, maybe that channel is TikTok Shop and Amazon. Maybe you don't even sell in stores. Like the energy drink here, Wake Up Water, we don't even sell in retail stores right now. Because what happens is if you don't focus, if you don't have a clear vision for where you're going and not get distracted with everything else, you're going to end up spending so much time and so much money testing different things out and being spread too thin. Like when you're first starting out, it's much less about like optimizing or brand building. It's really about selling as much of your product or service as you possibly can to then get to a point where you can start optimizing things and really growing the business. But until you hit $1 million or $5 million a year, you should be so laser focused on a specific acquisition channel. So for me, I went very heavy on Amazon. That's really where I put all my time, all my money, all my resources, because that's where we're having early success. We sell on our website, we sell on TikTok Shop, we do some affiliate marketing, we do some other things, but a overwhelming majority of our focus initially was how do we build out the Amazon channel. And that level of focus allows you to put all your time and energy into one process. And so, if you have 12 hours a day that you're working, if you're taking 2 hours working on Amazon, an hour TikTok Shop, 2 hours your website, an hour working on your email marketing, an hour working with influencers, an hour working with different affiliates, 2 hours going out selling product to stores, you're really not doing any of those things well. So in the early days, you almost want to become a specialist in one specific channel until you get to a size where that channel can then fund the other channels that you're looking to develop. And so for us, we started with Amazon. It was just an easier, more frictionless process. When we were selling on our website, we would run Instagram ads, Facebook ads, and they would work to an extent. But what we realized was it was very difficult to get customers to stop scrolling on their social media platforms. Like if they're on Instagram, they might be checking out their friends. They might be, seeing what people are up to. They may just want to like doom scroll and just get away from reality for a bit. They're not necessarily in a shopping mood. They're not in a buying mood. And so the process and the interruption that you have to cause to stop somebody from scrolling on social media and look at your product, look at your ad, service, whatever it may be interested enough to then click on the link, go to your website, learn more about it, be inclined and influenced enough to actually want to follow through and buy it. Then they have to add to the cart. They have to start the checkout process. They have to enter their shipping and their billing information. There's so many steps to that process that you can lose the customer. What I found with Amazon was that it removed all of that. So one, customers are coming to Amazon already in a shopping mood and mindset. They're coming to Amazon to buy things. And so in my head was, okay, how do I just position my product and get in front of the right customers at the right time on this channel? And the buying process is very easy. We've all bought on Amazon before. We know how seamless that process is. So we were finding that customers weren't dropping off as quickly. They were looking at our product. They were intrigued. They were already searching for something similar, going ahead, purchasing the product. And if they liked it, they'd come back and buy again. So we spent an overwhelming amount of our time building out that Amazon channel and making sure that we were doing the best we possibly could there and not getting distracted with everything else, because there's so many distractions out there, so many opportunities. There's always something new coming out. And so that's true for both like your go-to-market strategy and your marketing and selling, but it's also true for your products. Find a product, find a service, find something that you want to sell and stick with that. Because a lot of people will start and, they'll start for a couple weeks, couple months, they get a little bored, or they hear about this new opportunity and they go ahead and just jump ship. And what they don't realize is that there's the power of compounding. So we learn a lot about the power of compounding. We hear a lot about it when it comes to investing. Oh, invest when you're 15, 20, 25 years old when you're young because you have time on your side. And if you invest X amount today, in 30, 40, 50 years, the power of compounding will take that small amount of money and build it into something very meaningful. Well, the same's true for if you're working on a business and building a business. Years 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you might not see crazy growth out of the gate. If you don't have a lot of money and a team to really scale this thing out of the gate, you might get off to a bit of a slower start. That's where you really have to focus and double down, because year 1 to 2, you might not see much of a jump. 2 to 3 might have gotten a little bit better, but still might, not have seen anything crazy. 3 to 4 might be a little bit better. But what happens when you get to like year 10, year 20? Think about if you put all your time, all your attention, all your resources, all your money, and you invested it in one opportunity, and you were laser focused. You were spending every waking minute working on one thing. it's almost unreasonable to think that you wouldn't be successful. Like if I gave you a decade or 20 years to get really good at one thing and only one thing, you're going to get pretty good at it. But that's where people start to struggle because it's human nature. We want to do other things. We get bored quickly. But if you're able to teach yourself to stick with one thing and double down and triple down, quadruple down, and build something over a long enough period of time, it is way more likely that you're going to succeed with that thing than if you're constantly jumping around trying to find the next thing. Like I've seen so many people start off and they start a product-based business. Maybe they start a protein bar. They work on it for a year and a half. It's really not getting anywhere. They're struggling a bit. They don't really see, how this thing's going to grow. And then they jump and they go start a clothing brand. They do that for 8 months. It's not really catching on. They're like, okay, you know what? I'm going to become a day trader. I'm going to, buy and sell stocks daily. I'm going to sell crypto. I'm going to buy and sell cryptocurrency. And that's how I'm going to make my money. They do that for like a year. They get burned a couple times. They don't really know what they're doing because they've only been in it for a year. Then they jump to the next thing. That is the exact reason why those individuals will never become successful. Because if you look at the people who have built anything special, they've taken a very large amount of time and invested into one thing. They've become very good at that one thing. They've also allowed the domino effect to occur. So, for example, with Wake Up Water, we've been selling this for a few years now. So we've had customers over the course of a few years buying our product, and then in that period of time, telling their friends about it, posting about it on social media, getting other people to buy it. And there's been a domino effect. And because we focus so much of our efforts on e-commerce and digital marketing and selling on those channels, we've gotten in front of customers so many times that the brand recognition is finally starting to kick in. Years 1 and 2, we really didn't see that at all. But now that we're, 4 years in, it's really starting to take effect. Now, give me another 5 years, give me another 10 years. Where do you think this thing's going to be? I mean, we're going to have the customers that we acquired in the first few years. We're going to have all the new customers that they told. We're going to have more money to invest in marketing to show more customers and get in front of more eyeballs. It's just going to keep snowballing. And that's, I think, the biggest thing and the most important thing to take away is having that laser focus. So, I think the biggest thing is breaking it down. $1 million. You want to make $1 million. You just have to reverse engineer how to get there. So, what does $1 million look like? It's like 83,000 or so a month. Like, how do I generate $83,000 or so a month? Or if you really want to round up, like, how do I get to $100,000 a month? And you basically take what you're selling, what the cost of that product or service is, and you take, say, $100,000 and you divide it by the price. And that's how many customers you need to sell every month. So when you're thinking about a product or service, like, can you realistically get there? I think the answer is always yes, but let's like level set and say, okay, here's how we reverse engineer it. Here's how we back into it. Then pick something you're passionate about, create it, get it off the ground, stay very focused on not just that one opportunity, but get more granular and really say, okay, I'm really only going to do like 1 or 2 things with this, and I'm going to do them really well. And guess what? Like, if enough time passes and you're realizing that that strategy wasn't working, sure, you can go ahead and change it. But don't start with like a million different things. Don't try to sell in 20 different states with different distributors and stores and, also be on Amazon, also be on TikTok Shop, also be on, your website. Like, it's just too much. You don't have the time. You don't have the bandwidth for it. So pick something you're passionate about, reverse engineer your way to get there. Stick with it, be very focused, and give yourself enough time to actually bring your dream and make it into a reality. Because do not get distracted online, and see all these people that talk about how quickly you can make $1 million. It's going to take some time. And your goal shouldn't be to make anything quick, because anything worth doing, anything great is going to take time. So if you could make $1 million in the next 30 days by, trading cryptocurrency, like, everybody would be doing it. Again, don't believe everything you see online. Realize that the people that have done it before, they're going to tell you it's going to be really hard and it's going to take a lot of time. However, that journey, the pursuit of getting there is going to be one heck of a ride. It's going to be really enjoyable. So pick something you enjoy. Pick something you enjoy. Stay super focused and just work like crazy. Give yourself enough time. And I promise you, in 5, 10, 20 years, you're going to be way further along than you could have ever imagined. And you're going to be way further along than if you kept jumping around and trying different things. So pick something you enjoy, stay focused, work like crazy, and check in with me in 5, 10 years. And I'm sure you'll be way further along than you could have ever possibly imagined.